Yes, yes. Welcome in to Tim McKernan live from Jupiter, Florida. I welcome everybody to participate in the fun and games here. It is a program that is essentially just come on in. The water is warm. Let me see if I gotta do this. I gotta do that. Yeah, it looks like it's sideways. So now we'll do this. Welcome in to the program. All kinds of things to discuss here from Jupiter, Florida. It's presented by StratumRepair.com and also by the good people at Boyd Sleep Centers. So all kinds of things to discuss. I was up at the Cardinal Spring Training Camp today and talked with Paul Goldschmidt. Had a good conversation with Paul Goldschmidt, as a matter of fact. He will be a guest coming up on the Tim McKernan Show podcast. This week's guest, Jack Flaherty. I hope you've had a chance to listen to it. If not, subscribe. I think you will enjoy the fun and game. And candid conversation from Flaherty on the Astros scandal, in addition to Kobe Bryant's passing and how it impacted him. He's a big Laker fan, and also really took a lot from Kobe Bryant growing up as a Laker fan. The Mamba mentality is something that Jack Flaherty has, and now has added to that a bit of Bob Gibson and a bit of Chris Carpenter. So Jack Flaherty, the guest on the Tim McKernan Show this week. We have that for you on the podcast. Always, you can subscribe to TMA, the Ryan Kelly Morning After, and enjoy that program. And the Cat Chat this week. He got John Mazelak. God bless the cat. I've got to listen to that. I should have been listening to it, but I was on the phone as I drove to Roger Dean Stadium from our place here in Jupiter. So that, in addition to whatever else you want to talk about, it's all brought to you by, I'm going to be doing these throughout spring training, brought to you by Stratum Structural Systems and by Boyd Sleep Centers. Boyd Sleep Centers have the new Nautica mattress. Get on board and support the sponsors. They make these random shows possible. And Stratum Repair is who fixed my basement last year when I had yet another flood. Stratum Repair, Stratum Structural Systems at StratumRepair.com. So here is something that I guess it got people going. And while I saw this, I just tweeted it out with one of my favorite gifs of all time, which is the LSU mom dancing with the LSU players at the White House about a month ago. If the NFL commissioner from Pro Football Talk, if the NFL commissioner had so badly bungled a situation like the MLB commissioner's bungling the Astros sign-stealing scandal, a lot of alliteration here, badly bungled sign-stealing scandal. This is a great read. The NFL would already have a new commissioner. And I'm thinking to myself, well, this relocation situation with the Chargers and the Rams hasn't exactly been smooth. But once again, it shows that that's a story in St. Louis, and elsewhere it's not a story. The Astros thing is making international news. And I don't know if this is the case now, but Paul Goldschmidt is a guy who isn't really all that interested in engaging in media fun and games. But so you have to take that into account. But so he does his thing with like Derek Gould and Benjamin Hockman in front of his locker in the clubhouse. And Derek asks him about his opinion on the Astros thing. And Paul said, honestly, I'm not really following it. I don't know what's going on. And initially I thought, as I'm watching this, I'm going, oh, this is Goldschmidt's way of avoiding talking about it. And then Derek followed up with him, and he kind of smiled and he goes, listen, I'm sure you don't believe me, but I honestly really don't know what's going on. I don't pay attention to it. So he comes out and he does an interview with KMOV, and then he comes over and does an interview with me for the podcast. And as you probably can tell from watching Paul Goldschmidt, he's not exactly a guy who really enjoys doing interviews. And as we were doing the interview, and it kind of got to a point where he was like apologetic for not having more, I said, I'm curious on this with you in the interviews. Is this a thing where you watch Bull Durham and you're like, this is how I'm going to handle doing interviews, so I don't really get asked to do interviews? Or is this just really you? And he said, I just love to play baseball. I know this is part of the job, but it's just not really a job I care for. And I said, so when I'm watching you talk about the Astros situation, I actually believe you. I really don't think you know what's going on. He goes, I kept getting a bunch of texts about it, but honestly, I learned in my first year or two of the big leagues that if you pay attention to that stuff, and at that point Twitter was only a few years old, but he said if you pay attention to that stuff and you're going well, you can think too highly of what you're doing and get overconfident. And then when you're going bad, you can think too much of it and let it get in your head and then lose your confidence. He goes, so I just go out of my way not to look at the stuff. So when it comes to news, and I'm getting all these people texting me about it, he's a Houston area guy, he's like, I really don't know. He goes, I'm aware of it, but as far as like the details, I'm really not aware of it. So we actually got into why he doesn't really care for social media and interviews and would rather just play baseball. And it really does remind me when Scott Rowland was traded to the Cardinals in 2002, and his first spring training was 2003. I was doing TV at the time, and I remember coming up to him and asking him to do an interview. And he kind of broke it down. I'm like yay tall, and he's like, way up there. And he was standing, it must have been at like around 4 o'clock, so staring into the sun, like looking up at him. And he kind of broke down why he didn't like doing interviews. And I think there was a guy, Mike Claiborne and I were talking about this today at the ballpark. There was a guy for the Philadelphia Inquirer, I believe, saying that he was all over Roland. Roland hated him, and so that really led to him not doing many interviews. So I explained to him, I said, I get it with print. Times print, that you don't really care for that because they can edit it and kind of pick and choose what they put in there. But if you're doing an interview here, now granted this is TV, so it's like, it's not like a podcast where you could have these, 30-minute interviews. But the thing, your stuff's not edited out. And he just did not want anything to do with it. Friendly enough guy, but just hated interviews. I would put Goldschmidt in that same category. Incredibly nice guy. Just doesn't care for interviews. So had that conversation with him, so that'll be coming up on the Tim McKernan Show podcast. I try to not have my hand blocked this, so I'll get it more a stable spot. And then this tweet from Frank Cusimano, which absolutely got people going this afternoon. So let me pull this up, because I was wondering what was going to happen, because I saw what happened on social media yesterday, where some people got a little banty. So Frank Cusimano, always good about pulling ratings. And the Battlehawks, I keep wanting to call them the Blackhawks. The Battlehawks game was on FS1, and the Blues were on NBC Sports, right? So Frank tweets out, this is stunning. He tweeted this out about 3 hours ago. This is stunning. Yesterday, the Battlehawks and Blues played at the same time. The football game had a TV rating in our town of 6.0. The hockey game has a 3.1, both on cable TV. And so what you have going on here, and I've never really understood it, I'll be honest with you. I guess if I played into it, it would be quote-unquote good for the, I don't even know what the hell it is, for social media. You kind of do the thing where you have a take and you get likes and all that stuff. But you have Blues guy, who I thought after the Stanley Cup would kind of be like how I looked with the Kansas City guy. Kansas City guy, for whatever reason, consumed with St. Louis, and now that they have a Super Bowl championship, or a second one, but one for people who are younger, and a Royals World Championship, a real one, that they would stop with whatever their obsession is with St. Louis. So I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. The Chiefs Super Bowl is only a couple weeks old. Blues guy, and I'm talking about intense Blues guy, was pissed off when some people were saying that they were going to watch the Battlehawks instead of the Blues. Now, if you take a step back, I was watching both. I was saying this on the radio show this morning. This YouTube TV thing. Now, maybe like many of you are like, dude, you should have been on this 3 or 4 years ago. For whatever reason, I just got on it a couple weeks ago, and now that I'm on it, I have no idea why you wouldn't be on it. I'm not getting paid by YouTube TV, but I'm just telling you, it's the greatest thing ever. So I'm able to watch both of them. And I did find myself really enjoying the Battlehawks game. I didn't really care for it last week. I thought it was boring, and I thought people were just saying they liked it because they wanted to like it, but I just don't know what was so great about it. But yesterday I was really enamored, and I thought Jordan Tamu played really good. I thought he got banged on an offsides call that should have been made, and that's why he threw that pick that really changed the game. So Blues guy was angry, at Battlehawks guy, and Battlehawks guy is angry at Blues guy, and then the data comes out, and the ratings are 2-1 basically for the Battlehawks comparing to the Blues game, and that's got. So then I can see Frank takes shrapnel for reporting this. Like, why even bring hockey into it? Well, I think it is relevant. I mean, the Blues are incredibly popular right now. We did that poll both on the TMA fan page and on Twitter, and their approval rating was like 95+%. The Cardinals, by the way, was something in like the 40s. It's amazing, but that's where we are right now. And to have a team struggling, but still, 8 months removed from winning a Stanley Cup, getting beat out by an XFL team, yeah, it's surprising. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, it really doesn't. What does it mean? It's football. It's probably more rooted in gambling, and just people like football. But I'm telling you, man, this Battlehawks thing has been absolutely. And then maybe in 3 weeks we'll go, oh yeah, remember people were into the Battlehawks? But it has been the absolute biggest surprise I can remember since I came to St. Louis, hometown, returned to St. Louis for my TV job at KMOV in March of 2000. I mean, I never saw this coming. I thank God I only bet $25 at the cat, or else I'd just be bucked because I didn't see this coming. So to see the Blues and Predators, it's not like the Blues and the Panthers get a 3.1, and the Battlehawks and Houston, whatever the hell their name, get a 6.0. It's something else, but I do have to admit, first off, I was way wrong on it, and secondly, I watched the Battlehawks yesterday. I actually kind of built my day around it. I'm like, oh, Battlehawks play at like, I don't know what time it was here in Florida, 6 or 7 o'clock, but whatever. I'm like, I gotta watch it. Can't wait to watch it. And you got the Blues going at the same time. It's the perfect thing. What are your thoughts on the television ratings? Why are people so banty about it? I don't have the answers. Feel free to participate in the chat wherever you may go. Let me take a look at the chat while I'm kind of getting organized here. Cletus pointing out that he's playing golf in the rain and he wants me to hurry home and play. I will be home in a month and a half or so. Let's see what else we got. Paul Goldschmidt is a former Players Association rep for the Diamondbacks. I sincerely doubt he is unplugged like he claims. I don't know. I honestly don't know on that. All I know is that's what he said, and Derek Gould followed up twice on it, and then when I interviewed him for the podcast, I dug in on the whether or not he's really unplugged, and he explained, why he does interviews in the, I don't know what the right way to describe it is, vanilla, I suppose, way that he does, and B, why he doesn't pay attention to this stuff. And I get that, by the way. I think I told him this. I said, I think there's great value in tuning that crap out, good or bad. Because, usually on Twitter, the people who are going to sharpshoot you are anonymous, or they create burners. And then you could have a fanboy situation telling you, what you want to hear. So, the difference is, though, for him is his numbers are going to dictate it. Plus, he's got a guaranteed contract for like $1 billion. So, it's not going to impact him one way or the other. Another thing we talked about, by the way, deep teasing this interview, that I guess will be coming out here in a I don't know, we'll probably have it next week, but who knows? I don't know what interviews I'll get this week. Is where he bought a house down here somehow was leaked, and he's none too pleased about that because he's a super private guy. And whose house he bought, it's a whole thing. So that also came up. But in an interview, honestly, I was kind of like, maybe we'll get 5 minutes out of this. We wound up having a good conversation with him. He's a really good guy. He's the one to do interviews. All right, let's see. I watched both games at Cagino's watering hole, side-by-side TVs. That's from Andrew. It is crazy they've sold out. That is from Bill. I couldn't agree more. Like I said, man, I bet the cat. I bet the Plowhawk on the Cardinals making a significant move, and I think, I've had people tell me I only own $30. I don't know. Plowhawk, I think you're in the chat. So it's either 30 or 100. But thank God, because I was willing to bet 1,000. I was going to get him 10 to 1 on 100. And then the cat thing, I'm like, you think the Battlehawks are going to sell 25,000 tickets to the Dome. Are you kidding me? And now it's like 27,500, and they could open up the. I know they're not going to, but they theoretically could open up the upper bowl. It's incredible. Is this super shaky for you? I'm trying to do a good job here, but as I'm watching my computer monitor over my phone, it looks like it's like game 3 of the '89 World Series. So I hope I'm doing my best. I don't have the tripod. I was sitting outside. I'm like, oh, I want to talk about what I experienced at Roger Dean today, and also with the numbers on the Battlehawks, and also on the Blues game, because I truly am beyond fascinated. I think Anna Marie is inside showering and has Jameson in there, so I had some time, and I wanted to seize the moment here. Once again, Stratum Structural Systems, SSS, StratumRepair.com, making these programs possible, and also Boyd Sleep making it possible. It's Tim McKernan live from Jupiter. We'll do a bunch of these throughout the course of spring training. Played golf with that fraud, Chris Raby, who if I didn't know any better, I would say he's watching this. Despite the, they're right there. You're getting, can you see the MRI? Can you see it? Can you see it? That's where the torn labrum is. Despite that, I was able to play and, of course, defeat Raby because he is a fraud. Is that a lagoon behind you? Where is the skipper? Let's see. Yeah, there is a lagoon. You can see kind of the Honda Classic setup there, I think, if I'm doing a good enough job. So yes, that is a lagoon right there. That shows you the world headquarters. I think hardcore blues guys saw the bandwagon riders jump on during the playoffs and have jumped off during regular season, and it makes them banty. Yeah, I said this on the radio today. It's one of those things I've never really understood. But I also am aware of this. And it's it's one of those things that as I see what's going on with media right now, it's like I can choose to play the game, but it would be disingenuous, so I don't want to play the game. And by that I mean like getting worked up over shit that I really don't care about. Like, I made the example, when people talk best sandwiches in St. Louis, and somebody will bring up Mom's Deli, which I grew up super close to, and LeGrand's, which I grew up, so it used to be Binder's Tomboy, and that's where my mom would grocery shop. Now it's basically a sandwich shop, but that's my neighborhood. And so I ate Mom's Deli like crazy, and LeGrand's wasn't really a sandwich shop at the time, it was like a grocery store. And so when people get into what sandwiches they like in St. Louis and then get worked up over whether somebody likes a certain place or not, I think to myself, why the fuck do you care? Like, who cares? What does it matter? Okay, so this dude who you don't know on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram doesn't like the sandwich you like, calls it overrated. Sweet. Does that now impact the caliber of the taste of the sandwich for you? No. So don't worry about it. So if you like the Blues, but there are guys on Twitter talking about how much they love the Battlehawks, does that ruin your enjoyment of the Blues? Who cares? It doesn't matter. I told the story of 1996 in Columbia, Missouri, when I was in school at Mizzou, and on the same night of Game 7 of the 1996 NLCS, Cardinals had been up 3-1 on the Braves, and now it's Game 7, and you didn't have a good feeling. If I'm not mistaken, with Tom Glavine against Donovan Osborne. The Chiefs had a Monday Night Football game, and we go up to Willie's. Still there. Great wings, by the way. And just kind of assumed it's Game 7 of the NLCS. It's going to be the Cardinals on their big projection screen. I don't know what they have now, but that's what it was 24 years ago. And the game started up, and Chiefs fans, they had the Cardinal game on, and Chiefs fans were raging about not having the Chiefs Monday night game on. Now, obviously, this is October. It's a regular season game. And so that crap then impacted my ability to watch it, and so we actually had to leave to go back to somebody's place to watch the Cardinals get shipped by 70 runs in Game 7 of the 96 NLCS because Chiefs guy was banty, and probably still is banty despite winning the Super Bowl. But if you're at home, and people on social media are the Battlehawks, bee's knees, man, can't get enough of these Battlehawks, it doesn't impact whether or not you want to watch the Predators and the Blues. So I don't understand it. I just know it exists. So I know I could play into it by giving you a take, but my real take is Why does anybody give a shit? Like, who cares? Now, if I were at my place and let's say Anna Marie and I and our relationship has gotten to a point where we're debating whether or not we want to watch the XFL or an NHL regular season game, and she was adamant, we only had one way to watch, and she was adamant on watching the Blues and I wanted to watch the Battlehawks, well, I suppose that's a different situation. But if you're engaging with people on social media and getting pissed about it, as I've seen happen, it strikes me as odd. But maybe I need to like give you a take because that's the direction this industry is going. Honestly, I don't give a shit. I don't know why you do either. And so Frank tweeted out just data. He didn't go, I agree with everybody who watched the Battlehawks. I agree with everybody who watched the Blues. He just tweeted out the stats, and he still got hated on. It's just strange as fucking. But I digress. All right, let me go into some comments here and see what's doing. Again, this is presented by Stratum Structural Systems, online at stratumrepair.com, and the good people at Boyd Sleep Centers, a sponsor here of Tim McKernan Live from Jupiter. And we'll do these just sporadically. Whenever I have the time or find something interesting, I should have done this yesterday, is that fraud, Chris Raby, was imploding on the back nine, and you would have been able to see his swing absolutely implode, and you would have been embarrassed for him. That's what you would have been. You would have been embarrassed for him. And I would have been embarrassed for you for watching me and Chris Raby play golf and watch two guys combine for 90 putts in 18 holes. Tim, go find Bryce Harper fishing again and ask him why he's not a Cardinal. Let's see. Where I am right now, like, I don't know what you can see. I don't know if, like, this is like all reverse. So, I think you can see PGA off in the distance, like, right? Yeah, that ain't gonna work. I'm pointing at it, but it's not gonna work. It's like ET right now. But Harper was on the other side of the. This would be the time though, when Bryce Harper would go out fishing, and I would see him playing ball. It's the greatest time ever because it's like 72 degrees with zero humidity, and if you want to play golf, it's perfect because, being real honest, I'm probably one of the younger people here, so you know they might be at dinner or already heading home from dinner, and the golf course is all mine. And the fraud Raby, so you like shoot through the back nine in 45 minutes. Let's see what else we got here. I haven't done a good job. Let's see. Great interview with Jack. Thank you very much. I had a feeling that people would enjoy that interview with Flaherty. Flaherty's just. Who I was talking about? Again, Claiborne. I told Claiborne wants to do a podcast, and I love having Claiborne on the podcast. It's the best. But the greatest podcast would be if I just put a microphone in front of him as we sit there outside the Cardinal clubhouse and talk, and all of the stories he tells and the opinions he gives. That would be the greatest podcast ever. That's the best podcast. But I said, what's your, he's on the road with the Cardinals and all the home games. And I said, what's your opinion of Flaherty? Because I think like he's going to be superstar. Probably not in St. Louis, for a few years of his career in St. Louis, but eventually somewhere else. I have to bet it will be in Los Angeles with the Dodgers, but who knows? Maybe he'll just be like, no, I'm going to go pitch for the Yankees, the Red Sox, or something like that. And he goes, man, something else. Because I was having lunch with Bob Gibson, and he asked me about Flaherty, and he said, you put me in touch with him. And Claiborne said, I've known you for 35 years, and you have never once asked for me to put you in touch with a member of the Cardinals. What in the world is going on? And Gibson said something like, I see something in him. I want to talk to him. Now, I don't know Bob Gibson. I mean, I've interviewed him, but I don't know him. But I don't know. It's one of those things when you're talking to him. I don't know who to compare it to. Maybe for those of you who've met like a politician or somebody in your field who's just kind of like, they're at a different level. When you're talking to him, it's just like, this guy's got bigger things ahead of him. And just for his sake, I hope he stays healthy, because he's just like consumed with being the best and winning, and he's obsessed with it, and it's something else. You don't see that come along. But I will have to say, I have to say this. Albert Pujols had the same thing. It's those guys who just can't get enough. They're obsessed. Like the guys who at this point, like, I'm sure they're out there at this particular moment around here, just sitting on the range, hitting their 12th bucket of balls in the last hour. Let's see. Cletus chiming in. Looks like he's having some bottles of wine out on the golf course. Anna Marie, keep your pimp hand strong. You run the show. He might be right about that, though. That Bob Gibson comment is strong. Cletus, you just watching this out on the golf course? Out on the golf course, I wouldn't be watching this. Any other thoughts people have? I haven't logged into the Twitter or the YouTube comments. I think, oh, right there. What time is it? It is now 6:06. That's when they turn the fountains off behind me. So the audio should get a little bit better. I don't know if you can see the fountains. Those fountains are going all day long. I guess it's 6:06 Eastern. That's when they choose to turn them off. So I don't have the Twitter and the YouTube comments. I'm just going straight to Facebook here. But man, I'm telling you, I love being able to just interact with people and BSing. In addition to doing TMA every day from 7 to 10 in the podcast. Any questions you may have, go ahead and shoot them over to McKernan at InsideSTL.com. Over the course of spring training, I hope to do all kinds of interviews. Already have interviewed Flaherty, which is up right now for you. And then also Tommy Edman and now Paul Goldschmidt. So I want to talk to Mozeliak. I want to talk to Molina. I would love to talk to a few golfers while I'm down here. And there's a chance now, because when we did the show on Friday, somebody asked like how much the issue is with Tiger not playing this thing, and now he's skipping the World Golf Championships in Mexico, and so people around here are thinking there's a chance he is going to play in this event, which would be quite cool. I am going to bet against it and say that he does not, but I will put it only at 55-45, because I think there's a chance. My theory is the Honda field was really crappy relative to what it had been in 2018 last year, but they're the biggest automotive sponsor on tour, and because they moved the players up, because they moved the PGA up, and they kind of pushed the players up, and then it moved the schedule around, so Tiger doesn't want to play all these events in a row. My theory is somebody said something to him, and hey, you can stay at home, because he lives, I don't even know, I guess 15 minutes from here, a little bit to the north, Keith Island. And he's going to magically decide to play here, not play at Bay Hill, and then play at the Players. That's what I'm hoping, because when he plays in this thing, this place is, I mean, this hole is a pony anyway. If you can see it, I never know what I'm showing. Okay, so there, that's the 17th green back there, and it's a pony anyway. But if he's playing it, it takes it to an absolute another level. All right, anything else before I get out of here? Once again, StratumRepair.com, Stratum Structural Systems, Matt Ford, great people. He is on board with this, and then Boyd Sleep Center is making it possible as well. I'll just pop up whenever. I don't think I can do these from Roger Dean Stadium. I think that's like off limits, like live streaming, even though Joe Roderick was doing it last week. I wasn't going to narc on him, but I think that's the deal there. So, you can't, otherwise I would, but I don't think that's part of the deal. But at least as a non-rights holder, that I can live stream from Roger Dean Stadium. And also, I can tell you this, I don't think anybody there would really enjoy it if I started doing it. Roderick was doing it like at 7 in the morning, so it didn't matter. I want to thank Boyd Sleep at BoydSleep.com. They have the new Nautica mattress. Check that out. Oh my God, what a difference a good mattress makes. And Stratum Structural Systems, online at StratumRepair.com. Thank you everyone for chiming in. We're going to do these sporadically. Maybe I'll do them on a consistent schedule. I don't know. That would require me being consistent with something. But enjoy interacting with everybody. I will be on the Ryan Kelly Morning After on 590 The Fan, KFNS, and InsideSTL.com tomorrow at 7 o'clock, 7:07. I'm going to be specific. And don't forget, Jack Flaherty, my guest this week on the Tim McKernan Show podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you